Welcome to the Kaizen Gal Podcast. This is your host, MC. The Kaizen Gal is a podcast about continuous improvement, building the habits to make the most out of what you already have and scale your progress in a sustainable way. Some people say, don't work harder, work smarter. Well, I believe that we can do both if we balance our time, energy, and drive well. On to today's episode. Hi everyone! This is the continuation of the series on priorities and time management. The first episode was about the basics and the things to keep in mind before getting started. The second episode was specifically about planning or how to get started. Today's topic is all about prioritization. I apologize in advance if I butcher that noun. Is still kind of hard for me to say properly in English. The goal of today's episode is to show you how you can effectively establish your priorities and, most importantly, stick to them. By the way, today I read a LinkedIn article by Michelle Romanov. She's the co-founder and CEO of Clearco. And in her article on LinkedIn, she explained how she applies value-based prioritization, which helps her establish a personal list of things she doesn't do. I'm going to link to it in the description box because I find it was very interesting. The keyword that she used and that I'm going to use as well is personal. My list is not going to look like your list, which is not going to look like her list, because we all have different realities, jobs, lives, projects, and most importantly, I mentioned that before, we don't have the same vision. We don't have the same vision as the next person or the same vision as our acquaintances. So we won't have the same list, meaning that not everyone will understand your vision. Not everyone will understand your priorities, but you have to stand your ground. You have to learn to not only say no, but to also own your no's. There are a few nuances in no's, and I'm going to dive a bit into them afterwards, but that's very key. The third thing you want to remember is that your vision will make your life simpler. It will make your choices and your decision gradually simpler because it will drive you to eliminate or deprioritize what does not serve your vision. Before we move on to anything else, you have to accept these 3 statements as fact. Not everyone has the same vision, so they won't have the same list. Not everyone will understand you, but you have to keep going and you have to believe in your vision because your vision will make your life simpler by simplifying the choices and decisions you have to make based on what serves or does not serve your vision. Let's get started. What does prioritization mean? It is about reflecting and analyzing the things that you do or the things that you have to do by yourself or with other people. And you want to reflect and analyze those things against the way that they influence your reality, your workflows, your schedule, your perception, your relationships, both personal and professional, your business or businesses, your projects, and so on. The second thing is that you have to be clear on your reasons for prioritizing one thing, one activity over another, because these reasons will be challenged, sometimes constantly by your environment. People, things, context, event. They will challenge your reason. So you have to have a strong belief in the reason that you use to prioritize in order for you to be able to hold on to them tightly. One thing that is also interesting in prioritizing is that other people, hopefully people who you trust and respect, or people you report to or report to you, they can also help you refine your prioritization, not define it, refine it, because they may see consequences or impacts that you do not see yourself. As you are prioritizing between different tasks and activities, there are a few questions that you want to consider. 4 questions to be exact. The first one is, do you systematically prioritize requests from your superiors at work or requests from people you have a tremendous respect for? The second question is, do you systematically prioritize requests from people you like or people that you want to be liked from? we're going to the people-pleasing habits that some of us have, it's okay. We can manage that as well. The third question is, can you identify people in your professional and personal lives to whom you should not say no without providing a solution or an alternative? Because maybe these people have formal power over you, or in your personal lives, they can really derail your planning and all of the things that you want to prioritize. You want to identify where you have to mitigate when you prioritize some requests or projects. The last question, still linked to people, can you pinpoint people who have an impact at your organization or in your life? As opposed to the previous group of people, they don't necessarily need to have formal power over you to yield influence on you. So you want to look at these two groups of people and also ask yourself the questions of how you prioritize based on these two groups. Really, this goes back to your ability to distinguish between what is important and what is urgent. I think it was Eisenhower who said that I have two kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, or the important are never urgent. There's a great article on Mind Tools that I'm going to link in the description box as well. Basically, you have two types of activities, urgent and important. An activity or task is urgent when it has a short time frame for completion. The question you should ask when these activities come up, or if you want to identify them, is what is or is there a time or a date limit for me to complete the activity or task? The other type of activity, the important one, they are important because of their weight, because they have major consequences for the company you work for, major consequences on the result of a project, personal or professional project. One question to identify them is, what are the consequences if I don't do this activity, or if I cannot complete this activity? Is there any consequences? If there are consequences, and major one at that, it's probably an important activity. Typically, what's urgent needs to be done rapidly, while what's important needs to be part of your daily planning, because you want to gradually execute the steps in order to complete the activity or the task. But wait, you can actually mix and match these two attributes, because from that distinction, you can categorize activities into 4 groups. You have the activities that are important but not urgent. And these ones, they are like your core activities. The one that really bring you closer to your vision, bring you closer to the results that you are envisioning for yourself. They may not feel the most fulfilling, but they're the one that have the most impact and really drive you closer to your goals. Then you have the activities that are not important, but urgent. These are typically the ones that you've neglected here and there for some time, and now you have no choice but to actually do it. They may not be important, but because you've neglected them over time, the actual timeline to complete them has shortened significantly. And so now these are secondary activities, but you still want to complete them. In order to reduce these activities, you have to prioritize them ahead of time so that you are able to tackle them and not be put against the wall when it's not important and urgent. You want to tackle them when they are maybe not important or important but not urgent. The third group of activities are the ones that are not important and not urgent. These are unnecessary activities. You have to ask and wonder, how is it possible that these activities made it to your list in the first place? Why do you have not important, not urgent activities in your list? And by not important, not urgent, I don't mean that calling your parents or your friends, it's not important. All of these can be mapped into the prioritization list that you have. But some activities, and you know which ones, like sitting on and watching Netflix every single day is not important and not urgent. But sometimes it might be important if you've been working yourself to the ground and you need to relax. At that point, watching Netflix may be important and urgent. The last group of activities are the activities that are important and urgent. These are the activities that you want to control. You don't want them to take over your schedule. You want to mitigate risks and they could also potentially create crisis in your personal or professional lives. And I have to admit that honestly, I've been passing every project and activity through these questions, and it has become a daily habit for me over the years. It really just calms me down. It's also something that I do when I am overwhelmed because I feel like I have to do so many things. And that's really key. I feel like I have to do. Sometimes going through these groups of activities and looking at them, I realize that I don't have to do some of these things because they are neither important nor urgent. I'm not bound with time to complete them. I said it at the beginning, your priorities, now that you've established them, that you know what is important, what is not, what is urgent, what is not, that you've asked yourself a few questions to consider, that you're really clear on how to go about and prioritizing your activities and tasks, remember that your priorities will be challenged every day. To not panic at these attacks and feel like our beautiful list of priorities is being disrespected or worse, trampled on by the world around you, I want us to take a few minutes just to meditate on the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. For those of you who haven't heard about it, it's been said and it's been proven in many situations that 20% of the causes generate 80% of the effects. Or in other situations, 20% of the variables influence 80% of the results, and so on. In priorities and time management, what it means is that it is important for you and for each of us to identify among the great number of tasks, activities, and projects, things we want to do that we are interested in, and all of these things, it's important to identify the ones that we should tackle first for the greatest results. And we want to separate them from the one that we should postpone, that we can postpone, and the one that we want to eliminate altogether when possible. This will allow you three things: prevent and eliminate unnecessary tasks, the tasks that eat away your time without yielding convincing results. Like you don't have any motivation to keep moving forward, but because it's on your list, you basically feel bound and obligated to complete them. You don't have to. You want to carefully select the tasks that strongly support future returns, that supports maybe other projects, priorities that you have on your list. So you want to think about it, about what is the result expected from achieving a specific task, and does this support another priority or does this support your vision? And most importantly, your efforts should be focused on high value or value added tasks. There are so many things that we want to do, and society is telling us that we should be doing all of these things. But go back to the elements of your vision. How is it that you envision yourself, your future state? Then through stopping and reflecting on your situation, on your resources, your time, your life situation, you want to make a plan and you want to prioritize that plan based on different activities that are going to move you forward. In summary, 3 things to remember from today is 1, prioritize activities or tasks based on impact. Impact can be value, consequences, or results. The second thing, distinguish urgency from importance. These are 2 different things, and you should treat everything the same way. It is going to relieve you from so much stress, believe me. Third thing you want to remember is 20% of what you do yield 80% of the result you wish to see. You want to hone that 20% to the best of your ability. The best might change, might increase tomorrow or decrease the day after, but you want to focus on having that impact and really honing that 20%. That's it for me today. I hope you found that episode helpful and insightful. If you have questions or topic you'd like me to address, email me at the email address in the description box. And last but not least, leave your 5-star review anywhere you are listening. It really encourages me. I wish you, wherever you are, to be well, and I will talk to you next time.